Hey petrol heads, what's happening? My name's Simon and this is Ironclad Motorsport, the place where you come to learn how to build, maintain and race your very first track car. So without further ado, and as will always be the case, class is now in session. In today's video guys, we're going to be looking at the car that we've chosen for the build for this channel. I'm also going to explain to you why I chose this particular car, the certain things that we're going to do to it and the race series we are going to enter. So let's get started and have a look. Alrighty guys, so this is the car. It's a 1992 Toyota Celica. It is not a GT4, unfortunately. It is a 2.2 manual SX, so the base model of the 5th generation Toyota Celica. And guys, the reason I chose this car is quite simply because of this. Now you may be thinking that this is not a race car engine, and you'll be totally right in saying that. This is the 5S FE 2.2 liter that is more famous for its, let's say, economy than performance. However, it was a mass-produced engine for Toyota, which makes spare parts for it extremely cheap. And we are going to be doing this on a budget. So as you can see, the car itself has already been very well partially kind of stripped out. We are going to leave no dash, going to remove all of the top piece there that is like the demisters for the windscreen. Going to change the steering wheel because it is like, yeah, it's pretty screwed. Seat, going to have a harness bar, 6-point harness, all that kind of stuff. And you can see that the body does have quite a few dings on it. So the first thing we're going to do today is remove the air conditioning unit and all the accessories around the front of the car surrounding the aircon unit. And the reason for that is because, one, we don't need the aircon unit on the track. It's a bit heavy, it's going to weigh us down, it's going to sap a little bit of power from the already underpowered 2.2 litre engine that's in this vehicle. When I went to pick the car up, there was a horrible knocking sound coming from that area of the engine bay. So I'm hoping that it is the Aircon compressor making that noise and not something else that needs a little bit more attention before the car actually makes it to the track. Now it's important to remember that the aircon unit on this vehicle has already been degassed prior to this video, so we can go ahead now, start stripping off the front bumper and getting all of that aircon out. Alright guys, so we're up on axle stands now, and in order to actually remove the front bumper, and this will be the same on most cars, is we need to remove this like dust plate. I'd call it a bash plate, but it's really just kind of like a stone water guard sort of thing. So we need to remove all of this. We've got some bolts along here. There's a whole series of them dotted around all over the place, back up under here as well. Going to remove all of that so we can get to the bolts to remove the front bar. Alright, so got those off at last. A little bit of rusty bolts. And then of course underneath somebody has taken out a bird. There we go. Lovely. Get that in the bin before the dog eats it. So to get the bumper off, there's some screws underneath, but we also need to remove this fake carbon fiber piece. And we've got some of these at either end because there are some bolts underneath here that we need to remove in order to get the front bar off. Alright guys, so before I go any further, behind the side light, that screw there is the one that we undid to remove the fake carbon fiber trim. Behind that is another bolt for the front bar. Now everything else is off, and I'll show you that in a sec. So all we're going to do is depress that. See the little nipple sticking out there? We're going to depress that, remove the side light, do that on both sides. Remove this here. And then we're going to get this trim removal tool, and you can see I've already pried behind there to just release the bumper. So before I do all that, I'm just going to show you guys underneath. So adjust that light for you guys. So there is a bolt that sits in there, and then all along there, and then here all the way along there is in fact some of the little plastic trim gubbins things, there is some little plastic trim plugs that you need to remove, so that, and then of course the same as that bolt on there, there is on the other side just there, and you can see that I've already removed that as well. So let's get to work and finish taking this bumper off. Okay, so now that the front bar is off, you can see I've just placed it under the car there, out of the way, because I am working in my garage. Guys, just remember that when you do remove the front bar, that the indicators are plugged in, and you need to press this down and pull it off. Depending on how long it's been since the front bumper's been taken off is how long it's going to be. This one came off really easily, and then this one here on this side, I had to press that down with a screwdriver and then push it off with another screwdriver because it was stuck on really good with 30 years of grime and shit. But now that that's off, you can see that we have a bit more space down here and around here to remove some of these hard pipes that are actually attached to the aircon unit in the car. And of course, as I said, guys, we don't actually want any of this in the car. And then down there in the engine bay is the actual aircon compressor. And like I said, guys, you can see that it's already been partially taken out. So we're going to get rid of this because I believe this is where the knocking is coming from. And then all we need to do is, because this is the serpentine belt, or like, you know, basically the main kind of drive belt for the ancillaries of the car. We've got the alternator here, and then the pulley down there for the aircon pump. Right down in there, you can see that. All we're going to need to do is get a shorter one of these, and the easiest way to do that is just cut it. Take it into the shop. So you're just going to cut it, you're going to reposition everything without the pulley down the bottom, measure it all the right size, so you're going to measure down and around, up, and then mark it off and take it into the auto parts store and just be like, I need this belt with this many V grooves, and it's this long, and they'll just give you one that'll fit perfect. Alright guys, so before I go any further now, I told you guys I'm going to be removing this aircon compressor down here. That's underneath the bottom radiator hose, which is here, which actually looks new as well. It still has stickers on it from Toyota, which is good news, or bad news, depends how you look at it, but there has been some work done on this car in the past. So I'm going to be removing this, but in order to get there, it's just going to be easier if we remove the alternator. So I've removed the big bolt here that goes through there to hold on the alternator, and then I've removed the bolt in here, and then the tensioner, I've completely slackened that off so the alternator does move around now, as you see. And then these two connect. This one connects down here, right there, and then this one here connects all the way down the bottom of the radiator down there. So remove those, Just going to remove this one, which is a depress and pull style clip, and then this one has a little nut on it that we're going to remove, and then we should be able to take the alternator straight out, give us a little bit more space to work on the Aircon compressor down the bottom. Alright guys, so here's the Aircon compressor out of the car now. So it sits like this in the engine bay, and here are the 2 bolts down the bottom to remove, and then this one up here on the top needs to come out as well. All this wiring is attached only to here. Once you've removed the alternator with wire from here, that is completely it, and you can just undo those bolts. And I also managed to take it out without removing any radiator hoses or anything like that. So apologies for the sound quality dropping off. My microphone just stopped working, but apparently the camera has one, so we'll see. And you can hear this if you can. And that is the noise coming from the engine bay when the car's running. And as you can see guys, just removing the AC compressor down here has given me a whole lot of space, and the AC compressor is actually pretty heavy. And then once I remove all of this crap as well, it'll save even more weight. So that's pretty much me done for the day. It is red hot, I'm sweating buckets, so I'm just going to clean up all my tools and then head on inside. So guys, check back with you guys tomorrow.